United States of America is the most successful nation the world has ever known. And I think that's largely because we're the freest nation. Humans cannot reach their potential, cannot realize their dreams unless they're free.
If prosperity were easy, everybody around the world would be prosperous. If freedom were easy, everybody around the world would be free. If security were easy, everybody around the world would be secure. They are not. None of this is going to be easy. But this is the United States of America. It takes an extraordinary effort. It takes extraordinary commitment. It takes extraordinary strength. The Valley Forge wasn't easy. Going to the moon wasn't easy. Settling the West wasn't easy. We are the American people. We have seen difficulties before, and we always overcome them. This is about rolling up our sleeves. I mean, we might have some differences, but at Americans putting our head down and getting it done.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wayne Dupree, and we are live here on the MAGA network, basically. More to that in just a few seconds. Let me introduce the godfather of conservative radio, my friend, my brother from another mother. He's known him since he was a pup. Talking about the godfather of conservative radio, Mr. Hutch Bailey Jr.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad to be here. Am I loud enough? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And then we got really the pup of the unit. He hasn't been in this too long, but honestly, he's making his bones. We're gonna send him out on his first kill in a couple of weeks. With the truck and the duct tape and the shovel and the plastic bag.
The chainsaw.
Yeah. And you better not come back with no red on your face. No, you better not. We're talking about Mr. J. Rod from Minnesota. What's up, Jay?
Hey, top of the morning, guys. Happy Monday, everybody. And yeah, lots of pig farms in Minnesota, so we got it covered.
See, there we go. See? It's like
Deadwood.
Yeah,
right.
It's like Fargo. Y'all got a lot of fields, man.
Oh,
If those fields could only talk. Listen, real quick, before we get into the news, we got a lot to talk about in a short time to do it. But Thursday was our last day on Red Voice Media.
Oh,
Red Voice Media had to shut down operations.
sad to hear that.
Drew and those awesome guys over there, and well, I don't want to get too much into it, but I'll say it like this. We can't run off of, I mean, it's nice to have prayer and hope, but we can't run our broadcast off of prayer and hope. Yes, there are some major podcasts out there and major websites that are eating up a lot of the stream. They are. And is leaving independent-like type services almost a starve. We've been starving for about 12 years, to tell you the truth. I'm not going to say it's luck. We've been blessed to, we get what we get when we need it. And then, and that just carries us on. But these podcasts, these broadcasts, these networks, I'll say these networks, they can't survive without donations and contributions. Now, when you turn on your TV and you're watching your favorite program, you're probably saying to yourself, well, I don't have to pay anything to watch these programs because I'm watching the programs. I can flip the channel and I can watch whatever, but actually you're paying for it through your monthly TV charges, your monthly TV bills, you are paying for it. So, I mean, it's not like you're getting it for free unless you're one of those. And we won't talk about that, But even if you've cut your streaming services, if you've cut the main cable networks, you're paying for something. Okay. The same thing goes with these broadcasts. The same thing goes with these podcasts. The same thing goes with anything that you get across the air. And if you find something that really tickles your fancy, or that that it goes along with how you think and whatnot, support it. Because when it's gone, it's gone. I mean, the Red Voice Media Network was an up and coming, big time conservative network. And right now, I mean, they've had to shut down operations. I got the call last Monday. I didn't really get too much into it. I knew that Thursday was it for us. I think Thursday was it for them too. But if things work out, they might come back with something else a little bit later on down the road. But y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, let me give you another angle at this as well. For those of you that are watching free or think you're watching free, what you've enabled, subconscious, I mean, not on purpose, it just happened. I'll tell you, Tucker Carlson said something last week that sums it all up. If Pfizer is supporting your network, you're not going to talk bad about the vax.
Right.
So people that you can watch it free, but that's allowing all these corporations to set up an intelligence operation. That's all television is. Television, They throw the Dancing with the Stars in there and a football game in there just to make you think something. This is nice because I was thinking about this right before the show. You look on any news aggregation website and you look at the falsehoods that are out there. I mean, we're like living in an upside down world here.
Right.
If you listen to that, you'll go shoot yourself.
I know.
If you look at these headlines, they're doing that on purpose.
Yep.
So all I can say is till we get out of this media conundrum that we're in, and it's going to be hard to get out of.
Yep.
Live your best life, man. Don't get caught up in this all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, just to weigh in on it, I mean, tragic news about Red Voice Media. And, here's my message to the audience. I do digital marketing. Like, that's kind of my profession in addition to doing podcasting and stuff. And Hutch hit the nail on the head. Advertisers control what you can or can't say. Platforms control what you can or can't say. We stream on some platforms that if we had a robust discussion about the shot, like, they would delete our channel. Advertisers pick and choose what content they want shown, and that's why it's so important to support content creators. You can like Red Voice Media, they had a monthly subscription. It was pretty affordable, and that $5 or whatever it was for you might not be a lot of money, but if we get 15,000 views on the show, if everybody gave $1 a month,
that's it.
That keeps the show buoyant, and that keeps us doing it. And we're all in a spot where we want to tell the truth on this show, and we're not as worried about money. But that's why it's important to support and those little things that you can do to help content creators, and not just us. That goes for anybody. I mean, there was great shows on that network, and we'll be streaming on. If you're on YouTube, they're going to give us less good ads because of some of the messages we share. Yeah. So for our however many thousands of views, we'll make significantly less than people who won't speak out against the wars or people who won't do those things. I mean, that's just the sad reality. So yeah, it's really, really sad. I hope Red Voice can find a way to reconfigure and come back, because they really had a nice thing going.
They did. And, I've known Drew for a while, and I could hear the hurt in his voice and when he was talking to me last Monday. But I mean, I understood, and I let him know. I was like, well, the guys are here. If you need us, let us know. We're here. And the same thing is for the new federal state of China. I mean, the same thing. If push comes to shove, we're here to do whatever we need to do to help y'all. But we live in that day and time where a lot of people, I don't know. I'm not going to say they're spoiled. Believe me, I'm not saying anybody has it to give. I'm not, but as you notice, we haven't begged anybody for anything. Not on this show. To the detriment of the show at many times. It was almost, it was like right before the right before the pandemic. It was right before. I was going to close up shop. I stopped for 30 days. And then I was like, okay, let me start it back up again. And believe me,
I know exactly what you mean.
Look, and believe me, giving up those days. I was like, man, I don't have to do a show. This is cool.
Right. I got a lot of extra time in the day.
Yeah, it's like I can watch the news. I can figure out my own thing right here. And then I was like, wait a minute.
But then you want to say something.
I ain't got nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
Right. I tell Jen, this keeps me sane. This is like I work from home doing computer stuff all day. This is why I get to talk to people. I get to go talk to my boys about politics. Or when you see something, it just makes you so goddamn mad. And you're like, I just want to tell people how stupid this is.
Because I know it's some people out there just like me. And I know I can talk to them and we can talk like this. Yeah, man. After 30 days, I was like, all right, let me start it back up again. But I'm not going to do it at night. Going to do it because I want my nights. I got that night. I was like, we're going to do it around noon. Because that's when Congress is in session and we can find out a whole lot of stuff that's going on, while Congress is in session, Because honestly, to tell you the truth, and it's a little bit emotional, but we put ourselves into this for years. I'm talking about something would happen in St. Louis. And I'll call up Hutch. We're getting ready to go live, man. We're getting ready to go live. They're rioting in St. Louis. Huh? What? Okay. I'll be there. And it's like, we would just broadcast it. Hutch, there's a riot. There's a big mass protest on Saturday. We would broadcast, we would pull the stream in and just sit there and watch the speakers speak and then speak about the speakers that were speaking and everything, man.
I think my favorite broadcast was a radio broadcast, and it was when we called the election for President Trump.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I wonder if you still have that. That was
I don't.
That was amazing. It was
amazing.
It was like a 4-hour broadcast.
Yeah.
And we were better than Fox.
And we were.
And we called it before Fox.
We caught it, Jay. We caught it around 11:20.
We were watching
really?
We were watching. They were waiting for Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And
once Pennsylvania went.
But see, I know Pennsylvania, so I'm looking at those counties. I'm going, there's not 10 more Democrats that live in those counties.
Right.
This is a good deal. We're done here.
But when the California numbers came in, California, Washington, and Oregon, I sat there doing it. Let's see, 24 minus 3 minus 7. Wait, he just won. He just won because even though Georgia was out, Pennsylvania was out, Arizona was fumbling. I was like, but they were leaning Trump. Okay, they were leaning Trump.
Right.
I was like, he did it. he did it. This was like 11:20, 11:30, and they didn't call it till about 2 or 3 in the morning. Yeah. But by that time we had finished. We went to bed, and Facebook had took the broadcast off the broadcast. I mean, they took it down because we started playing Celebration around 11:30.
Oh man, that was fun.
Can we do that again in like a year?
Yeah, but Facebook took it down, man. Facebook took it down. They were like, you're not allowed to play. So they took the whole thing down. They didn't just take that portion. They took the whole thing down.
It's funny you say that because people, a lot of this censorship we talk about is just such soft censorship where like the Wayne Dupree show plays a song and suddenly they're going to prosecute it to the nth degree and take down the video instead of just muting that audio for however long it was. You
They're
know,
tyrants, man. They're tyrants out here.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I mean, you look, they're in every aspect of our life, from schools to hospitals to the military to the VA. The freaking VA.
Did you see that?
Yeah, unbelievable.
I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off at that.
This, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening is the Veterans Administration health care system is taking care of 100,000, 150,000 illegal immigrants and making veterans wait.
Yep.
That's my primary medical provider.
I saw that this morning. I was like, what about me?
Right. And I think things like this, there has to, either one of two things. There has to be a tipping point and America raises back up, or we're lost.
Yep.
You look at Europe right now, Europe is lost.
Yeah.
Now they could possibly fight back, but they have to fight back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this situation that we're in right now is, I mean, they're sitting there and they're, you look at what's going on and you just got to wonder, you got to wonder, the freaking Republican Party, they would not throw out Mayorkas or anybody else that's committed real crimes. They take Santos out. Now we've got a 3-member majority. And guess what's happening? The Republican congressman from Ohio retired. He's going to Youngstown State University. So now we got 2 votes. Only 2 have to not vote or vote wrong, and we lose. And Ken Buck is going to vote wrong every time.
Yep.
I mean, it's just you should have looked the other way for once. I don't know. It's math, man.
See, my take on the Santos thing,
and I don't even like the guy.
I don't like the guy. He did vote right. I will say, if you look at
100%,
100% right.
You know why he voted right?
Supported new federal state of China. He was one of the few members who did, but he was such an inconsequential person to remove.
I know, except for that vote.
Yeah, and that vote, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, if I made my list of 20 most corrupt people in the House of Representatives, he doesn't even make the list of the top 20. Can we get rid of one of those first? Somebody who's trading stocks. And actually his Twitter timeline has been excellent.
Oh man, he's
been going scorched earth on people.
They're going to kill him.
But imagine.
Oh yeah.
So, but sometimes you need to get rid of filth to get rid of filth.
Yeah, man, if we could get rid of some of the rest, it'd be great.
Okay. You see what I'm saying? So if he has any credibility to his credibility, the names that he's calling out, he's going scorched earth, just like y'all said. So, I mean, it's like, now, when I saw what was going on, because I'm one of the ones that I want to clean up the Republican Party, period. That, I mean, and I know many people do, but we all have different ways of doing it. Me, myself, I'm just tired that there was no checks and balances anymore. There was no, and I'm tired of us looking bad in front of the American people. So when this all happened, I put on my Twitter timeline. I was like, message to the American people. And I know most American people ain't gonna see it because most American people don't have Twitter, but I did anyway. Message to the American people. As you can see, the Republican Party does hold themselves accountable for different things. If you've seen what they've done this year, they've gotten rid of the speaker. They've gotten rid of this other person right here. They do police themselves. Wouldn't you want a party that polices themselves versus a willy-nilly party that doesn't give a goddamn about what they do? So I try to turn it into a positive in that regard instead of a negative. Now I know a lot of people were trying to say, look, it's the devil. I'd rather go with the devil I know than the devil that I don't know, or something. Well, whatever. But the way that there was a Republican lawmaker that came out and said, yeah, he took money from me and my family. I'm like, what? Damn, I didn't know that type of thing. But still, I also put on my Twitter timeline, that's why we need a supermajority in the House. If we had a supermajority in the House, we would not need Democrats across the line to expel anybody or to kick or to censure or to impeach anything. And that's the major issue. That's the problem that we have right now, is that it's too, And I'm not saying, well, in today's time, you're playing with dynamite when you have what we have in Congress right now. You're playing with dynamite because you think it's even, but it's really not.
No, not even close.
Because they're one party. So I mean, it's you have evil and then you have evil, and then they're all together right here. What we need is a majority of MAGA people who will get off of freaking Twitter and get off of Facebook and start rising up and run for some of these seats that these people are running from. Because I'm telling you, I've said it for the last couple of weeks, I'm noticing a whole lot of people leaving. And last time I saw this, it was a setup going against Trump for 2020.
That's what this was, a setup.
Right.
You listen to that. I'll tell you the hypocrisy of this situation. I called out from the very beginning of this Congress that Comer was a big government GOP guy. He managed to waste 3 years of our attention span on a fake Biden impeachment that was never going to happen anyway. And now he gets on Maria Bartiromo on the weekend and says, well, on the Biden impeachment, we might not have the members to vote now.
Did he say that?
Because he voted to get rid of Santos. She asked him straight up, and he said Santos was a reliable vote. And now we voted to get rid of him, so it might be a little harder. Yeah, you were never going to do it anyway, Comer. I know.
Well, here's what's chilling about the Santos thing. Republicans moved to set a new precedent that they remove George Santos without even a conviction.
First time in history.
And Democrats are going to have a majority in the House again at some point. And you don't think that they're going to take that precedent and use that against Republicans? And how many Republicans or MAGA people or America First people have we seen that have had some sort of crazy charges leveled against them? And at the end, it comes out, okay, it wasn't true or it wasn't a thing. I mean, if you believe the media reports, you would have thought that Matt Gaetz was some pedophile or something. Turns out that was kind of a bogus thing. So, man, Hutch is going for it.
I'm trying to, but I ain't getting nowhere. I'm done.
Here, I'll steer. You talk.
No, I mean, it's true. I mean, this whole setup is, we sit here and we talk about, we got to fight. We got to be as strong as the Republican Party, as the Democrat Party. We got to be as strong as them. We got to fight tough like they do. And then we shoot ourselves.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And like I said, I'll overlook a few things if we can win some legislation, man. I mean, I want my life.
Right. Well, and I'll even say Republicans are just going to fundraise off of this. And they took out a reliable person that voted right when there's 50 other people that are more corrupt than him. And it's like, if he was one of, 10 or 15, or I mean, how many stock trades does Nancy Pelosi need to make where she affected the legislation until we talk about removing her, And
the legislation has long-term consequences, man. I'm sitting here. One of my favorite guns that I have is a Remington 870 shotgun. Right. I've had it for 30 years. It's a really good, reliable shotgun. They're closing the Remington plant, the oldest arms manufacturer in the country.
Yep.
Because of freaking these people allowed Remington to be sued for the Sandy Hook. The gun manual in America. I mean, that company right there saved this country numerous times. You need to get your audio, Wayne.
You're muted. Well, and it's funny you say that about the Remington plant, because I don't know how they prescribe product liability to a gun manufacturer if you're not going to. I mean, if you want to do that across every industry, then go for it. You crash a car, you drive a car drunk, I can sue Ford. It's kind of like the Trump thing.
It's insane. It's a communist takeover, and they're letting it happen.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like the Trump New York case with his business. If you're going to treat every property developer to that same standard, you will have zero property developers in New York. But they're not going to do that.
Real quick, I saw a video this morning. And I'm not one to push. We don't push violence here on the show. and News Guard. We don't we don't push violence on the show. However, we do push common sense. And when it comes down to these protests, everybody knows what free speech is. Free speech. And everybody's been talking about it so much, But this happened. Well, actually, I don't know when it happened, but this video that I'm getting ready to show you, I want to see what my boys have to say about it real quick. I don't know if y'all saw it, but let me show it to you. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There was a guy underneath the car.
Jeez.
That's the driver moving the guy. But the guy jumps right back in front of the car. Okay. I think the guy realized, he was like, okay, he is going to run me over if I don't move. Here's the thing. My friends, free speech is free speech is one thing, but obstruction is another. One you have a right for, and the other you have the right to get effed up. You don't put yourself, putting yourself in front of a vehicle is not free speech. That's obstruction. What happens to you will happen to you. That's just how I see it. Again, I'm not one for violence, but if this happened more, this wouldn't be happening.
And the thing that's bad about it is it seems that the quote unquote law always protects the wrong side.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm surprised they didn't arrest that driver.
They label, well, they probably
They will.
Yeah, exactly. They probably will label that free speech, but it's not free speech.
4 guys broke into a guy's house in Los Angeles.
I was going to talk about that.
And he blasted them, and they arrested him.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. Wait a minute, hold on. You said that they broke into a man's house.
Home invasion, yeah. And his grandmother was in the house after he shot them all.
Okay, then that is wrong. That is wrong because
now, in all fairness, the article that I read did not go any further than that, like into the next day.
No.
I think it's common practice for the police to subdue somebody at a shooting. In other words, the only basis they had for making that angle of the article was that they saw the guy in handcuffs. So maybe it was just they were just checking the temperature. It's possible, but then again, it is L.A.
But see, where I was going is the shooting that happened at the Capitol. If they're going to arrest the guy for shooting somebody that came in for shooting those people that came in through his window, if they're going to arrest him, they should have arrested the officer at the Capitol. That's how. Ever since that happened at the Capitol, that's how I've been looking at certain things. And I know some people might not look, but that's how I look at things because of how I was raised. If somebody comes into my house, there used to be a joke a long time ago. Again, I ain't pushing for violence, but if somebody tries to do some stuff to you and whatnot, take them out. And if they're outside, just pull them in the doorway. I used to hear that a long time ago. But if somebody comes into your house, you have the right to shoot them.
But I think if you're a police officer, it's a little bit different.
Well,
it raises it up a little bit than the way I taught my children.
Yeah.
Because my children both carry. And the way I taught them growing up is you better never pull that weapon out unless you're prepared to kill somebody.
Right.
And you better never be prepared to kill somebody unless you feel your life is in danger. Because that's what you need in court.
But if you sleep and you hear somebody downstairs making a sandwich,
I agree with you. I agree. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about that cop that shot the lady in the neck.
Right.
How can you be scared of a 5-foot tall woman with no gun?
But that's what I'm talking about. If you don't know who's coming through your house, but they're coming through your house, they coming through your window, they coming through your door. You don't know what they got.
If she broke into the cop's house, that's different. She's dead. I'm talking about he's on duty with a badge. he has to be able to make that decision.
Right.
Or else they're just going to go hilly-willy and kill everybody.
Well, that's how I feel. That's how I feel about if somebody breaks into something that is mine, something that I protect. You come in my house, I don't know you. But I mean, because look, back in the day, we used to be able to have our front doors open. People didn't just walk inside, you know. You probably have that up there now in country Minnesota. But you keep your front and keep your screen door open, and people knock on the screen. Hello, you there? They didn't just walk in. But now, since the mental institutions have been closed, people just walk in. You come downstairs, they're fixing breakfast. You want some eggs?
Well, and we've lost that where you get to defend your stuff. I mean, some states have castle doctrine, which I think is an appropriate law. You come on my property, I have a right to remove
castle
you.
Doctrine, like your home, your castle.
Yeah, your home, your castle. And then some have duty to retreat, where, well, there's stand your ground, and then there's duty to retreat, which stand your ground means you have a right if somebody comes at you to defend yourself. And then duty to retreat means you can only defend yourself if you have no escape route. So if somebody breaks into your house and, I can go out the back door, then I can't defend myself. And
so it's okay to, like, 2 shots, pull them in the alley, put yourself in the corner, and then call the police.
Yeah, something like that.
Yourself in the face with the gun.
Right. Isn't that what they used to do in the shows here? Put the gun in his hand and right. I don't know what you're talking about.
38. But this is just in evidence. I know. We got it. We'll take care of ourselves. Okay, so we're going to talk about DeSantis in just a few minutes because I really don't see a path for him now. Dude is losing people like a cat on a Christmas tree. Like bulbs on a Christmas tree that a cat just got close to it. He lost the CEO, he lost the chairman, he lost like 3 other people. Somebody joined the Trump team. And then he said something over the weekend that grabbed me. That was like, with everything that he's losing, and you know, we can briefly talk about the debate too if you want, but with everything that he's losing, he needs Iowa. He needs Iowa. If he comes in third, he's done. If he comes in behind Trump and Nikki Haley, he's done. And if you look at it, he said something over the weekend. He's like, "Yeah, I've been to 99 counties because the governor told me that's what I should be doing." The governor shouldn't have to tell you anything. You should want to do it in the first place. But if the governor had to tell you, then maybe you should be president. But the governor told him to go to 99 counties, and he's still 27 points down in Iowa. He's been to 99 counties, and you're still 27 points down. Dude, if you come in third, you're gone.
20 years from now, they're going to be teaching a class on the Ron DeSantis campaign and say, I mean, he's going to go down as one of the worst campaigns in the history. If you look at how many hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on that campaign.
Yeah. And honestly, I might be wrong, but maybe you picked the wrong platform. Maybe you should have picked TikTok instead of Twitter, because all those people that you pay for Twitter and stuff, ain't working out for you, homie. It's not working out for you. Maybe if you pick TikTok, you maybe would have clamped on to some young people and been able to raise yourself a little army or something. But
he's killing everything he touches.
Everything.
I mean, his campaign is continuing to hemorrhage support and staffers, not to mention struggling in all the state and federal public opinion polls. The Floridian has learned that the secretive pro-DeSantis blog, the Florida Standard, has fired all of its employees and will shutter its doors just in time for Christmas
and
before Florida's primary.
That's what I'm talking about. If he doesn't fix if he doesn't come in first or second in Iowa on the 15th of January, if he comes in third after everything he's done.
I think if they, after Iowa and maybe New Hampshire, they ought to all be done. Unless our polls are completely wrong.
I was going to say my one word of caution for MAGA folks and any of our audience listening in Iowa, get involved, go out that day, support President Trump. My biggest concern is it only takes like 10,000 people in the state of Iowa to determine who wins that deal. And if MAGA gets so confident that they think, oh, we got it in the bag, that could prove to backfire. And that could have been part of, a lot of elections where, oh, yeah, we're good. We don't need to go out and vote. Get out and vote if you're in Iowa.
Exactly. With that said, let's bring on our little sister, Miss Ayla Wang of the new federal state of China. What's up, little sis?
Hi, Wayne. Hi, Hutch. Hi, Jason. How are you guys? Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't seen you since before Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. It was great. I spent the Thanksgiving with my friends and some of my neighbors, so it was great. And I've been working on some other projects. That's why I've been quite quiet for several weeks, but I'm glad to be back.
Top secret projects?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. She just let us know it's top secret. Okay. All right. Kissinger passed away last week in China. He was big in getting Nixon to go to China, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like China is mourning his loss. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And if we look at, Kissinger's visit to China, you will find frequent connection between him and the Communist Party. And it has been, a while that every time when Kissinger visits China, the Communist Party would always held very, biggest celebration event for such visit. We all recognize that Kissinger is one of the important figures for China-U.S. relationship establishment in history. The only point is that Kissinger insisted in appeasement policy with the CCP over the past several decades, and which means that he's, theory advocated a stronger Communist Party will enable the Chinese deplorables to gain democracy and freedom, which is completely absurd and a failure to both countries' deplorables. And we've observed that because of the existence of Kissinger's theories and a group of people who have been colluded with the CCP in this country, this has caused millions of people dying because of the CCP virus in the past several years. And that this has enabled, the power of the Chinese Communist Party to be able to infiltrate into this country with the American funds and with the American support. And this is why, when we saw passaways of Kissinger, I think that marked the end of appeasement policies between the United States and China. And I think that we should rethink about and reconsider, of all of the past policies that we have been made. The United States has not been strong enough against the Chinese Communist Party. And if we do not decouple with the CCP, that is a way of supporting the communism, right? And that is a way of supporting the American funds going into an evil regime and taking back your technology and taking back your intellectual property. And I think that would mark a strong signal for both countries' leaders today and for the deplorables to reconsider of how we should, go on forward with the CCP.
I'll tell you, you're right. And I got to watch the beginning of that back in 1973. I remember seeing Henry Kissinger and a Chinese gentleman, Zhou Enlai. And they had, it was on television. They had negotiations.
Right.
And that was the beginning of the end. It was the end of the Vietnam War. And the Chinese Communist Party supported North Vietnam during the Vietnam War with weapons and everything else, tanks. And it looked like, from my perspective, that Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger traded the loss of the Vietnam War for the opening of the Chinese Communist Party and relations with them, and they elevated them monetarily and everything. And if you look back during that time frame, it was a completely different country, at least on the surface. And I think what happened was Henry Kissinger was the father, one of the founding fathers of the globalist network. Mm-hmm. And I think they just completely underestimated China. When you look at China now compared to China in 1973, it's two different things.
Night and day.
It is. So I'm glad that he's gone. But Isla, I'd like to touch on something if we could. The influence, because we're going forward now, and you said that maybe this is the decoupling. But how will the influence of the Chinese Communist Party in our universities affect that with our young minds?
Absolutely. And I think this is very important that today U.S. campuses and colleges are having a lot of CCP star hands. And if you look at, the streets of the APEC meetings, there are lots of students groups organized by the Chinese Communist Party or the CCP embassy overseas that they provided transportations and accommodations for the Chinese students who worked for the CCP-controlled student organizations overseas and asked them to raise, the CCP party flag, the China flag, on the streets of San Francisco to supporting and to welcome President Xi's visit. And this is a huge problem, right? Any organization that were supported by the CCP or any individuals who were represented by the CCP needs to list themselves with the United States government as a foreign agent. Many of them have not been doing so. And if you look at today that all of the top, elite schools in the United States, if you look at Harvard, you look at UPenn, Cornell, MIT, every year they have received foreign donations and even undisclosed name donors for billions of donations for them to build up new libraries, new school accommodation places, and even new gyms, right? And where does all these money come from? The Chinese Communist Party. And this is how the CCP officials would be able to send their children into these top elite schools. Remember, President Xi's daughter does not go to schools in China. She went to Harvard and all other elite schools, and so does all of the other CCP officials, right? They understand that, the communist China is not a good environment, and they all send their kids overseas. And our schools and our campuses allow their funds to be going into, so that when these schools confront with the Communist Party, they kneel down because they follow the money, and they want that money, they want that donations. And this is, a dangerous way for this country to introduce communism into the young minds. And if we have Hong Kong students or Taiwan students on the campus and protesting against the CCP, what would happen is they will receive even physical threats from the students who have been closely connected with the CCP embassy. And this is why, today, when your children went into, gained, high scores out of SAT or ACT and finally being admitted into the top Ivy schools in this country, that does not mean that you ensured your children a bright future. That means that his or her classmates could be surrounded by people who are connected with the CCP and might even report, the students' information back to the embassy. And I think, to protect the next generation, we need more governance on our schools and on our campuses. We need to absolutely drive the CCP money out of the United States, or else the children are living under a CCP-controlled campus.
It's funny you say that, because a lot of times we don't always connect directly what's happening with like the ramifications of that. So you have all these Chinese people in the schools, and then they're going to gain influence on these really people who will go on to become very influential. But I was diving into another topic this weekend, cryptocurrency with Binance. And crypto, for many of us, we see as this decentralized thing, this super powerful tool where we can, separate from the US dollar. But Binance, like, China's all over this. And as it continues to get exposed, I continue to be floored with how did this go on so long without us knowing. Could you kind of give our audience kind of a high level overview of what happened in the Binance situation?
Absolutely, Jason. And I think you were correct. When people view cryptocurrencies and all other, exchange, platforms, we think of that becoming a decentralization platform where people can probably gain more freedom in their financial sector. But the only point is the existence of the CCP prevented people from going into that decentralization dream. And Binance, according to Mr. Guo's broadcast, even a year ago, that was proved by the new federal state of China has the strongest link with the Chinese Communist Party's intelligence department. Binance establishment was signed and approved by two top CCP officials. One is the former premier Wang Qishan, and the other is Meng Jianzhu, who are directly connected with the public security department. And so it is no doubt that Binance served for the Chinese Communist Party as the largest, digitalized intelligence platform in the digital field, and also served as a dual-track financial system for the Belt and Road initiatives. So what happened with Binance is they asked you to invest, they asked you to open an account, right? They asked your money to invest into certain coins. You trade, and all of your transaction data will now being reported and investigated under the US government. And on the other hand, the CCP would be able to gain your clients' informations. So what happened was when Chinese people opened any accounts on Binance, they are subject to any risks for the CCP to go to their home and arrest them. And their accounts can be freezed. The CCP police can take away your money, and this was already happened, years ago. And this was mentioned, and all of these reports were being silenced. These people's families were being found by the Chinese Communist Party police and asked them to be completely silent. On the other hand, because of the former CEO Zhao Changpeng have pleaded guilty to the U.S. government, right? The U.S. government and all the other investigation institutions would be able to obtain the transaction data into Binance. So all of your transaction histories would be, revealed and would be under a thorough investigation. So any clients who have been, doing a lot of tradings under Binance, they're subject to tax issues with the United States. They're subject to their client informations. And don't forget, all of these money have been tied with drugs, with all other, trafficking and fentanyl issues.
Right.
And so, their clients are facing endless investigations and even subpoenas from the government. And this is what Binance does. They asked for your money, then they also asked for your lives. If you live in China, you are now disappeared. And if you are an overseas client, and now you have been facing endless investigations and even, seizing of your other financial accounts because of your money transaction into Binance. So this is what happened. Just like the Communist Party, they want your money and they want your life.
Something that I noticed that I don't think a lot of people noticed a couple weeks ago. Right now, the Republicans in Congress want answers after Energy Secretary Granholm invited CCP leaders to sensitive national security site. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Can you speak on that? Do you know? Do you know anything about that at all, or is that something that the new federal state of China is looking into?
Well, I think absolutely that the Chinese Communist Party is always looking at the energy sector, and this is why they have made several plans on the Middle East, right? Because they want to win the energy network war. And the other thing with the United States is that they have always been following on the sensitive sectors and the sensitive informations. This is primarily why we've saw, Navy groups members who have been reported to be connected with the CCP and have been transformed information to the Chinese Communist Party. And I think that should be a cautious thing, and it should be concerning for all other sectors in the United States as well. The Chinese Communist Party was not looking at just one sector. They have spread out, a massive network of their agents and of their spies conducting these espionage activities in all sensitive areas. And what we want the United States to do was to demand a complete decouple and a thorough investigations on their networks. Because if you allow a single Chinese Communist Party's penny going into this country, or even invested in your energy-related business, that means you are losing the war, against the CCP. And I think that this is something that, our current government administration or our current policies were not strong enough, because we are still allowing the Chinese Communist Party going into American businesses. We're still allowing these businesses to purchase farmlands or purchase your technology products. And on the other hand, that, even several months after, you will see that the Chinese Communist Party is stealing your technology, advancing their military projects. And this is what happened in the past decades. And we do not want to see another decade of repeating the past, mistakes.
Well, and hold on, I got another question I want to throw in there too. Was then Senator Marsha Blackburn is going to the Department of Commerce, because she wants to know why the CCP's Institute for Forensic Scientists was removed from the department's entity list, which restricts trade from certain groups or individuals, because and that's something that I'm sure that the new federal state of China will also check into. Also, because it seems like these things are happening after the meeting with Xi. I mean, the Biden administration is lifting this and lifting that and lifting that quietly. I mean, the media is not reporting on it.
Absolutely, Wayne. And I think, a major request of the Biden-Xi meeting in San Francisco was to lift the restrictions against the Chinese Communist Party. What did Xi answer after, his meetings in San Francisco, just several days after his visit? And if you look at, China's mainstream media, they were reporting that, China will be very aggressive against Taiwan and will show no mercy, of any, potential U.S. involvement. And she even said that Biden supported, his theory against Taiwan, and that the Taiwan issue is something that the United States should not be interfering. And on the other hand, we saw a minor lifting here on all of the restrictions and sanctions, with the Chinese Communist Party. But is that really resolved, the problems, or is that, really giving the United States a better future with communist China? No, right? Because we all knew that the ultimate goal of the Chinese Communist Party was not to suppress the deplorables. The ultimate goal for the CCP was to defeat the United States. This is why they have been asking for U.S. money. They have been sending over a massive network of spies into this country. They have been purchasing your farmlands, and they have been they have been teaching your children of what communism is, and making the next generation pro-communist. Their ultimate goal is this country, is the United States. Their ultimate goal was not the students on Tiananmen Square. Their ultimate goal was not the people who are being sentenced for decades in the labor concentration camp, or even any other Chinese dissidents. Their ultimate goal is to defeat the United States. So I think that this is something that, our current administration should remember. They're always targeting the United States. They're targeting the U.S. people. The Chinese people knows how evil the CCP is better than anyone else. Okay. Mr. Miles is the perfect example of what a regime can treat him just because he wants to take down the CCP. And we have been losing a lot. We have been losing our investment. We have been believing in CCP's deceptions and lies and fake promises on the trades. And we have been losing, lives for the CCP virus. We cannot lose more. We don't have much time.
I'll tell you, one of the greatest tragedies that the CCP put on its own people during the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution is 70 million people died from starvation. Wow. Right. And that's the part that scares me the most, because not only is the CCP buying up farmland, but if you've ever heard of Smithfield Meats, they make great bacon. That's owned by the Chinese Communist Party. They're buying our food manufacturing centers, and there's only like 4 major ones in the United States, and they own Smithfield. Talk about that a little bit, the food weaponization.
Absolutely, Hutch. And when you talk about the Great Leap Forward, I would like to quote on a saying by a CCP official, Wang Qishan. He once publicly said in an internal CCP meeting, saying that Chinese people can eat grass for years. And this is how they deal with the food problems with China, right? And when you look at the lockdown and what happened with CCP's policies of the Chinese deplorables, they used a trash truck to deliver food to the Chinese people, and it's not healthy food; it's rotten food, and with higher price. They control the food market price. They control when you will be able to receive food, and they control the quality of your food. They want to starve you while you were locked down. And I think this is something that the United States people would never imagine the same thing would take place in their own country, right? CCP basically ignores all humanity and overrule all religions. This is what they want. They want to turn, the nation under God into a nation under CCP. And this is how they treat the United States. And if you don't want the US people to suffer the same thing with the Chinese deplorables, it is, there are not much time for we to act. And we need to act very, very strong and fast.
It's interesting when you look at some of this financial stuff. And I was excited to have you guys on the show because Evergrande Financial they're talking about if they're going to have to dissolve them, which it looks like the Hong Kong judge put a stay on dissolving them temporarily. But where do you see this shaking out, and what do you think the impacts of that will be?
Well, I think Evergrande has already caused huge losses to both China and US, right? Remember that Evergrande receives investments and there are lots of creditors overseas as well. And this Evergrande collapse will also impact on other related industries such as architecture and other, building or real estate property related industries. Lots of people view, real estate sector as one of the most wealthy sector in China. But what they did was, who would be able to actually work or even grow a company like Evergrande? People who are closely tied with the CCP. If you are an ordinary Chinese deplorable, you will never become the president of Evergrande, right? Because you don't follow them and your money interest was not aligned with the Chinese Communist Party. And what happened with the boss of Evergrande? Do you see him coming out for giving out a public apologies of the bankruptcy and of the job losses and financial losses because of the collapse of Evergrande? Never. Right? He was controlled by the CCP even till today. We do not even know if he is, physically well or mentally well up till today. All we knew was, the Chinese Communist Party released a so-called judge notice of delaying, Evergrande's response on giving them more spaces into answering these bankruptcy-related issues. But on the other hand, the Chinese Communist Party never reported any protests against, initiated by these creditors in mainland China. Right? We have groups of creditors going onto the streets asking Evergrande to return their money. And these was never reported by the Chinese Communist Party. And there are other creditors who might even lose their lives because they have lost too much. And so this is, Evergrande, and Evergrande was simply one of them in the past several decades. They steal your money, not just the Chinese deplorable monies. Evergrande received foreign capital as well, right? Not just the Chinese deplorable monies. And what would happen to the U.S. creditors? I think that, they are no better than any other the Chinese deplorables.
Well, we got to let you go, but I want to thank you for joining us once again. How can people support the new federal state of China?
Absolutely, Wayne. I think that if any people who wants to know more about the new federal state of China, please go to our official website. That's nfscofficial.com. On the other hand, they can follow your program, and we have other NFSC guests coming into the WayneDupreeShow Podcast, weekly.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Our little sister Ayla Wang from the new federal state of China. We're going to take a quick break. We want to show you something about the CIA. And we hope that y'all pick something up from it. Ayla, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
See you soon.
I thought that it was a matter of real concern that planted stories intended to serve a national purpose abroad came home and were circulated here and believed here, because this would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. Now, we're looking at that very carefully.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole news and public affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
We have quite a lot of detailed information, and we will evaluate it, and we will include any evidence of wrongdoing or any evidence of impropriety in our final report and make recommendations.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
Senator, do you think that you named the news organizations in your final report?
That remains to be decided.
I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of CIA agent chiefs of station and other members of the executive staff of CIA as sources of information which were useful in their assessments of world conditions.
Would you say that continues today?
Well, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect in doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
All right. That was that video. It tricked me. I thought it played twice, but it wasn't. It was the same one. But there you go. I mean, that's they're running the show, folks. I mean, when you look at people as shallow as some of the Andrea Mitchell comes to mind, and you look at somebody like that, and you listen to the things that come out of their mouth, you know somebody told them to say that. You know
right.
They don't have that in their knowledge base.
Well, yeah, it's fascinating to look at, and I talked about it on Thursday's show where we had dug into that Chinese biolab that was in California, and it was just kind of a blip in the radar of the news cycle, and they reported like, oh yeah, they found some test kits and a couple pathogens, and so my guys dug in and like got the police reports and figured all that out, and you dig into it, then you cross-reference it with congressional hearings, and it's like, how was this not front page news?
I mean, even the aftermath of it.
Right.
I mean, they go into this place and there's a refrigerator that says Ebola.
Right.
And then they go in and there's containers covered in aluminum foil that don't say Ebola, so they bypass them.
Right.
It's unbelievable the amount of people that want this country dead.
And then at the end of it, they're like, oh, go ahead, city folks. You guys dispose of this stuff.
Yeah.
They got some Yahoo in the city. God love them. But they're not qualified to determine how to destroy Ebola.
And this is what happens when you have diversity hires, when you have identity politics hires, when you're hiring somebody for other than the fact of how good they can do the job. This is what you get. And I swear our whole government's filled with them.
Well, it's funny you say that. If you look at all the transportation stuff that's been coming out,
Oh,
delays and folks for generations or, 10, 20, 30 years, when they've put these hiring standards in practice, if you're hiring anybody other than the most qualified person for the job, you are going to blow up the system eventually. It's unsustainable.
look who they made Secretary of Transportation. A freaking guy who breastfeeds a baby in a city. He's the mayor of the city with the most potholes in Indiana.
They can't even fill them.
And you make him the transportation secretary and then wonder why the whole airline industry is dying on the vine.
Oh my gosh, it was sad too. So the wife and I, before church on Sunday, she made breakfast. We went up to the couch to watch it, and I turned on the TV, and Fox Sunday was on the local Fox channel. I never watched Fox, but we're like, let's just see what's on here. And they had the new head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Oh my God, what a Marxist racist.
Oh, we were listening to him, and Jen had never heard him talk. And I hadn't heard much of him. He hasn't done a lot of public stuff that I've found. And we're listening, and we're like, oh my God, our country's doomed. I hope
he's the grandfather of DEI. I mean, that's his thing.
Right. Yeah, he has like no preference on how we're going to keep the country safe or what we're going to do. It was
talking about?
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Lloyd?
No, that's the Secretary of Defense. This is a brand new one.
Yeah, the new dude.
Took over for Milley, Air Force General.
Okay. Yeah. Diversity hire.
DEI, I mean, it's worse than that. He's actively involved,
right,
in going through the course that's killing our military.
Right. You start promoting people other than their ability to do their job, and then you wonder why we can't keep the nation safe, why we don't win wars.
And if there's one place in the country that diversity needs to be kicked out the door, it's the military. The military has to be one thing. When I was in the Army, we used to all say, and I heard you say it too, Wayne, we bleed red, white, and blue.
That's it. That's all.
And if you don't have that, you're not going to war.
Right.
That's why they cut off all of our hair on our head. They cut off all the hair on our faces. They cut because you're all one. You're supposed to be one.
It's the only way it works.
Exactly. I mean, if somebody in your unit gets hurt, you hurt. So I mean, I don't care if you come from Tupelo, Utah, and you ain't never seen a black person in your life. We're now brothers. Still, or at least that's what I thought the military used to be. They might be sisters now, but back then it was brothers.
That was the first thing. That was the first thing. That was the first nail in the coffin.
A1.
When they put women in the same unit as men. I'm not saying they shouldn't be in the military, but you got to understand the nature of human beings. If you have a woman and 5 guys, one of those guys is going to want that woman. Matter of fact, more than one.
5 of those guys are going to want
now
that.
Now they're going to fight each other over her.
Yeah. They're going to talk bad about her. They're going to talk bad about her. Man, she look homie. Man, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. In about a month and a half, 2 months, you start sizing it up. You're like, you know what? Look,
it's lonely out here.
It's been a while.
I saw something, and I'm not trying to. I shouldn't do this,
but you're gonna.
I am.
News guard, turn it, dude.
When I was in Iraq, one of the most brilliant things that they did over there was they had 1,000 porta potties. They had more porta potties than you could use, and they freaking serviced them twice a day. Wow. So it was manageable. Nobody got sick because of that kind of thing. But it's also a place where GIs did graffiti, right? So you see some of this graffiti in there. And speaking of what Wayne was talking about, somebody was getting ready to end their deployment, and they called out her name. Enjoy your popularity, because in 10 days you're going to be ugly again. Oh man, GIs, man.
We've completely lost any semblance of what it means to run an effective military force. And you guys served. Yeah. And I love studying military history. I mean, my wife and I, last night we were talking about Rome, and she's like, I don't know enough about it. I'm like, man, I wish you wouldn't have said that. Welcome to like 100 hours of documentaries about Rome. But you start with like the Roman military, one of the most successful military units. And throughout history, there has been a pattern of what works in the military, and uniformity and common purpose. All those things were what produced effective military regimes. Never in the history of the world that I know of successfully have they ever got any of the, like, you systemize it. That's how it works.
And if you talk to you listen to any combat veteran, and I was in combat, but I wasn't. In other words, I was in the rear.
Right.
Right. But when you talk to somebody who fixes bayonets and dodges grenades, and you ask them, why are you fighting? You'll never hear them say for the flag. You'll never hear them say for apple pie. You'll say for that guy over there and that guy over there. That's what I'm fighting for.
Yeah.
Now, if you hate that guy, what are you going to do?
Right.
They teach you to hate this guy, so that cohesion's gone.
Yeah.
This is criminal what's happening to our military.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, they put the wrong people in there. They accepted the wrong people here for the United States, and now they accepted the wrong people, and that bled into the military. They couldn't touch the military for a long time.
Nope.
Yep.
They couldn't touch it. They wanted to, but they couldn't touch it. That was the only thing out of their reach was the military.
I'll tell you, I was shocked.
And when they got their hands on the military, they screwed it up.
All during the Trump administration and during the stealing of the election of 2020, there was two things I always thought would save us, and I was wrong on both of them. One was the Supreme Court, and the other was the U.S. military.
Yep.
I never thought Mark Milley ought to go to trial. He did more to destroy this country than any other one person.
Yep.
When he did that. I swear to God, that guy has no soul.
How is he still walking free?
I don't know.
I mean,
it says something. It says something about all the other generals, though.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just looking when he says, I called China and warned them if we were going to do anything.
Somebody's pistol ought to come out right then.
Right.
They ought to took him right into custody, right there.
Right.
He shouldn't have been able to finish his testimony.
Oh.
He should have been able to finish it. By the time he did finish that sentence, he should have been what?
He should have been Private Milley.
Okay. He should have been what? Wait, what are you doing?
Right.
He should have been in it.
Should have lost all pay allowances, all freaking, he should have been a private.
Anybody else? Well, enlisted, they would have been arrested.
Yep.
They would have been arrested and jailed. UCM Jade. Probably
well they should have been.
You wouldn't have seen them for a few years, but not with him. Everybody, I mean, Biden administration loved him for doing it. The Democrats loved him for doing it.
Chris Christie loved him for doing it.
Yeah,
Chris Christie.
That's who recommended him.
I know it's ridiculous, and it underscores too Trump, because he appointed a lot of these people that end up being awful. But how tough is it for Trump when he's in office and the people you think you can count on are recommending these awful, horrible people? That's what makes me so excited about Trump 2024 is he's had 4 or 5 years now to figure out who the clowns are and who the serious people are. And I can't wait till he gets in there.
I hope we get to see that. I swear I'm so scared that something's going to happen. I mean, it's just like I'm thinking they can't let this guy win.
They can't.
Because like you already hear them, they're terrified, and they should be.
Right.
Even Victor David Hanson's saying it. I mean, of course there's going to be retribution. Look what you did to this guy and his family.
Right.
And all of us. Oh, I hope I get to see that. I really do.
Ron DeSantis's timeline. I'm not following it. No, I'm not. I don't know why I got it, but a couple hours ago he shared something that Rush Limbaugh said about him.
Rush Limbaugh one. Oh my God.
I guess it was Rush Limbaugh's final broadcast, but Rush Limbaugh said, "Have I mentioned lately how much I admire the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis? This guy has got what we call an iron enforced spine, the governor of Florida." Then DeSantis said, Rush was one of a kind. I was honored to know him, appear on the show, and be mentioned on his final broadcast. My response to that was, he would have called you out for not waiting until possibly 2028. He praised you as the governor of Florida, not running against Trump after the establishment took it away from him. Chris Nelson responds, no, he wouldn't have, Wayne. Rush was not a petty little man like you. My response to Chris was, but he did that while he was alive. If you listen to his podcast, he called out people for going against Trump. And so you know what? I mean, God, turn, man, Jesus. Why is it that everybody, it's almost like what the liberals were saying about God. Okay. Oh, God is God of love. You know, he accepts everything and everything, and he accepts homosexuality, and he accepts it. It's like, that's not what is in the Bible. And y'all are creating a new narrative on this thing. Y'all want to create a new narrative about how Rush Limbaugh. You didn't listen to Rush then. Rush called out the stupid Beanie Babies. Rush called out the people that betrayed the Republican Party.
He made a monkey out of McCain.
McCain, yep. Of all people. You know, I mean, it's like, what? Do y'all want me to retire before the 2024 election? Is that it?
Yes.
Seriously. I mean, we understand, and I know Dan Bongino has said this many times, but so have we. You're not winning unless you control the narrative. The Democrats have controlled the narrative for a long time, but now it's like we create our own narratives. And Rush would have called him out. Other people would have called him out. Well, other people are calling him out, and y'all are just acting like that damn debate last week. Just moved DeSantis 20 points ahead of Trump, and it didn't move the needle for him.
You know what I saw yesterday? Remember Silver Hair?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I got it. Hold on. Yeah, I got it. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that, the guy starting to feel a little bit of defeat.
He looked rough too.
He did look terrible. What's wrong with that guy?
He didn't get his money. That's what.
Did you see he ran that GoFundMe and he made $50?
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And if you go back and you look at, because it's still there, if you type in Silver Hair and GoFundMe, you'll see he made 20,000, 30,000.
Oh yeah.
He made it.
But it probably came from the super PAC.
No. This is when he was under Trump, or when he was
right. That's Trump. Why he's telling everybody needs to unify behind MAGA.
Yeah.
He wants that money back.
He's so bad. The DeSantis campaign, he has a record of 0 retweets, 0 likes from the official DeSantis campaign. So things are rough for poor Bill.
Yeah, rough for him.
Hey, speaking of the military too, did you guys see we now spend more money on interest on the debt than the military? We've officially crossed that threshold.
Those are some big numbers too, man.
We've been talking about how they have to refinance the debt, and with these higher interest rates, they got to pay more. And officially this weekend, it hit the tipping point where we spend $1 trillion a year on interest on the debt, and we spend like 900 and some, million on the military. So we spend more on interest than the military.
Billion, not million, billion.
Billion, yeah, sorry.
And they know damn well that money is not going to get repaid. They know it.
Well, what's scary too is we've been saying 30% of the national debt, so about $10 to $12 trillion, needs to be refinanced in the next 3 years or so. And there's still 20% more of the debt that needs to be refinanced. So you're going to have 10 trillion that you're going to be refinancing at these higher rates. And buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah. Speaking about Buttercup, let me play Sugar Britches here.
And so when we do choose our nominee, I changed my name to Bill the United because I want us to be able to put down our differences and come together. So I'm offering the fig leaf now. I know that I've been hard on the Trump camp. I've been hard on the Trump people. As far as, really going after, hardcore going after Trump, not going to do that anymore. And for anybody in the, MAGA Nation that felt like I was, that I personally insulted them, I apologize. I want to mend fences with you guys, because at the end of the day, we are going to all have to come together. That's why I have changed my name to Bill the Uniter, because while I am still 100% in the DeSantis camp, and I believe very strongly he will be the nominee, I believe it will be a tragedy if we miss that opportunity. I also want to be more of a pleasant fellow and more of a uniter with those who support other candidates, because I know, hey, you know what? If you love Trump, you love Trump. You know, you feel like he was the one that brought you to the party. You feel like he was the original MAGA guy, the original America First guy. You feel like he was robbed in 2020. You feel like he's been the victim of lawfare with all these indictments. I get it. I understand. I've been where you are. So I want to get along better with you guys. I want to get along better with everybody.
You're too old. You're too old for that hairstyle, man.
Yeah. He needs
to get a shave before the show.
Can I just say we all just need to pray for poor Bill Mitchell? That dude looks like he's going through a few things, man.
He looks like he's gaunt, like he's not eating.
Right. Yeah, he was claiming he had some health stuff, and I don't know if that's a.
Yeah, I saw that too, but it takes a while to get that plug out. But listen,
thing gets stuck in there sideways, and
gerbil, whatever.
God love him.
And then the girl came out and told everybody. That was
I told it everything. Yeah, she did. I came out there. Wow.
He was buying Twitter followers.
Yeah, she came out. She said right after they got finished, he left. Didn't even talk. Wasn't no pillow talk. Just left. Went over there and started buying up followers. That's crazy, boy. That's
sick.
Oh my God. Oh my gracious. Yeah. Back to.
I didn't like him when he was on our side.
I didn't either.
I'm like, what are you going to do after Trump?
You know what? And we saw a lot of that though. They came out of the woodworks and it was Trump. And where we had built, we were already there before Trump. So everybody knew about us. We'd already got podcast of the year and blogger of the year. And we already did all that stuff. So, but to see these people come out and just Trump. Let me share him. Let me be the first to share him. It's like y'all don't have any substance. Y'all don't have any substance. They built their whole following off of Trump. And then when 2020 came, a lot of them became preachers and pastors and priests on social media giving advice and stuff.
Well, it's fascinating too, because if you look at the Ron DeSantis timeline, me and the guys we put together, when you layer on his book tour and his campaign donations, when he funded his PAC, you see the trajectory of at what point he just went full on corrupt. And it was in the lead up to, he might have been corrupt before that, but in the lead up to his reelection, all of a sudden, here's the PAC, here's all these millions of dollars coming in. I schedule my book tour. I lie to all the Florida voters that, I'm not going to be voting for in there. And I think all these people that moved to DeSantis, they can see that. They can see that the establishment's fighting back and doesn't want Trump. So they're just going to put all the resources there. And guys like Bill jumped on that train because he thought he would win. And he wanted to be an early adopter. And it just shows the power of MAGA, because the Make America Great movement, whatever you think of Ron DeSantis or what he's done as a governor of Florida, he has been selected as a candidate by the Uniparty. That never is going to work well for us. Hard stop. I don't know how it's going to go bad. I just know anybody that Paul Ryan or Kevin McCarthy or those guys think should be president, they'll never do anything for me.
And you can look at it, you can see it in Liz Cheney.
Right.
Liz Cheney is active, and the RNC actively supporting Democrats.
That's what I meant to say too about Trump. President Trump. If anybody of your team is watching this, just want to make sure. I know you went after Liz Cheney about something about you not eating. She repeated what McCarthy told
Correct.
her. So you need to go after him too. Don't leave him off the mantle. You know, put him up there too, because she's only repeating what McCarthy told her about you not eating after the 2020 election because you were so depressed. And I know that you came out and you went after her, but that came from McCarthy. So,
and they're the same animal. They're the same animal. She was put there by McCarthy.
Yeah, but still, they may be the same animal. She might be the rear end, but he's the head. So you need to go after that head too. This is
You
Ron.
have now held events in all 99 of Iowa's counties, and yet former President Trump is still 27 points ahead of you in the state. So, Governor, I have to ask you, are you committed to staying in this race through the Iowa caucuses?
Well, I'll tell you what, doing all 99 counties is a tradition here. It's something that Governor Reynolds advised that I do. And it's a way to, one, show that you're earning people's support. Two, it's a way to hear from real people outside of kind of the media bubble about what's important to them. And then I think, three, it reminds you that at the end of the day, you're a servant. You're not a ruler. And we really believe in servant leadership. So we went everywhere. We showed up. We took questions. And we've been able to build a really incredible organization. We've got over 30,000 people that already committed to caucus for us. We're adding more every day. Of course, we have the endorsement by the great governor here, Kim Reynolds, and, of course, by Bob Vander Plaats, most recently from the Family Leader. So I don't think anyone's ever done an Iowa caucus with this amount of institutional and grassroots support, and it's only going to build for here. And we look forward to being victorious on January 15th.
So just to be clear, you are committed to staying in the race through the caucuses?
Of course I am. I mean, it's absurd that I wouldn't be. If you look at past Iowa caucus winners and compare to what, people were saying in November with this poll or that poll, it almost never comes out the same way. So we have a great base of support. We have a much wider base of people who are potential caucus goers who believe that I've been a great governor and would be a good president. And we've just got to bring that home when people start to make their decisions, and they will be doing it. But I'll tell you one thing, what people in Iowa and even the other early states, they do not want the media choosing the Republican nominee. They do not want narrative.
That shows you how stupid Karl Rove is. Think of Ronald Reagan. Think of any other Republican, George W. Bush, any of them. Donald J. Trump. When did you ever see Donald J. Trump with a shirt that said Donald J. Trump on it?
That's true. That's true.
He's a joke. He's a joke.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I really hope the morning after we wake up feeling that same way. And I'm hoping, once again, everybody in Iowa that is a MAGA supporting candidate, do not believe the polls.
Right.
Treat it like you're down by 10,
right,
and turnout's going to determine it. Yeah. Iowa caucuses are notorious for very low turnout. And
especially if it rains.
Right. Yeah. If you get weather, snowstorm, or whatever. I mean, January.
You're talking about Iowa in January.
Yeah.
I think that in fairness to the American people, I think people know we're in trouble right now. I don't think there's anybody in this country that thinks we're doing fine.
Right.
I mean, you can't even hide it in the news. It's that I think that you're going to see, in my opinion, if Donald Trump doesn't win these early primaries, there's something crooked. That's my opinion.
I'm just saying the only legitimate way that I could see that President Trump doesn't win is if it's a turnout game with the primaries, because a lot of people won't remember that, it's today. I got to go vote in my primary. Where do I go vote again?
He didn't win Iowa last time.
Right.
Yeah, that was. Here's the thing. Before you go in Iowa, make sure on voting day, on election day in Iowa, go to the grocery store and the gas station.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm convinced Trump, if every Republican voted in Iowa, I'm convinced he would win in a landslide. Yeah. What I'm saying is all these polls saying he's up by X percent and
27
this or that.
Right.
In some of these precincts, if 20 people stay home because they're like, Trump's got this in the bag, I don't need to go vote, that could swing. I mean, some of these counties, there's 100 counties in Iowa. Some of them told populations like 5,000 people. So
Right.
you're going to have a caucus decided by 12 people in the fire station.
Well,
So,
you know, I mean, I've always thought real high numbers are a way to suppress the vote. Anyway, if somebody tells you that, like during the election, if like the people on the West Coast, if they're seeing all this stuff on the East Coast, the exit, because you know how they do the exit polls. Usually they start mentioning that about 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Why? Why don't you wait until 7 or 8 o'clock to talk about the exit polls? But they talk about it early so that the people out west are like, oh, well, he's already won that state. He's already won that state. So maybe I don't have to go and vote. That's why I don't like how the media has turned into what they have turned into. And
It's
again,
CIA.
yeah, it is. I mean, I hate to see them always say, well, it's gonna come down to these 5 states. It's November 2023. How in the hell are you going to tell me it's down to 5 states already?
And it's not only politics, it's everything. The NFL's the same way. Last week, I'm watching a football game, and they said in the first 5 minutes, this game will be determined in the late part of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they do that.
How the hell did you know that? And that's what happened.
Yeah,
they got the script.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's what we got to watch out for this whole election cycle.
You're right. Everything you said was right.
Yeah.
All I was saying is you got to give the American people a little bit more credit than that.
I don't see how get out and vote, man.
I don't see how any American that is registered to vote, they care enough to be registered. I don't see how any American misses voting this year. If you do, then shame on me. But I think people realize we're in more trouble than we've ever been before.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I have to turn to that too and say, because I remember what happened in 2016. Because I mean, he was ahead big time in the polls in Iowa in 2016.
But tell me when you've ever in your life ever seen polls this lopsided before.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's a reflection of Americans knowing that we're in deep trouble.
Or it could be your psyop.
It could be, but I feel it.
In the suppression of tempering people, because again, he came back in New Hampshire and even to score. You know what I'm saying? He even to score in New Hampshire, one in South Carolina, and after that, it was basically over. You know, but we were all left wondering from Iowa. And remember, he came in there on his plane, man. He was picking kids up with the helicopter and stuff, and like,
remember this too. Howard Dean won Iowa.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I liked him back then, though. I mean, as a Democrat, I like Howard Dean. I thought he got. All he did was yell, man.
Oh, he got nailed. You know why he got nailed?
Yeah, because he was calling him out.
He lost the Iraq War for us. He got the anti-war vote.
Yep.
And Kerry destroyed him after that.
Yeah,
and
Kerry.
so did a whole lot of other people came out.
Yeah.
And they all turned against the war, and the GIs fighting it.
That's true. Well, we got to go. We broadcast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday here on the Wayne Dupree Podcast.
Viewership notched up a little.
Right. I know, you see that, right? Man, I was like, wait a minute. Like, what happened?
Is there
what we're talking
failure?
about?
Power failure?
I don't know if you know that, but the social media platform called Facebook has been a little wonky lately.
It's like they closed the curtains on it. Like,
but
hey, we're not done.
You know who stood strong through it all? Getter. Thank you.
Getter. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
There we go. Getter. And hold on. Let me see if Rumble's still there. Jay, give me some last thoughts and then Hutch.
I was going to say, folks, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for taking time to share your Monday with us. Big ask for everybody who's listening. Take a minute to share the show. Maybe share with somebody you don't politically agree with, and maybe we can find some common ground. Second thought is, as we look at this week in the news, Congress has been awful quiet lately. Don't get distracted by all this talk about impeachment and the Hunter Biden testimony. Every time they start throwing those up, they're sneaking other stuff through. So tune into the Wayne Dupree Show to see what they're
Kelly.
sneaking through. And don't
That's
get
right.
distracted. This just in, Joe Biden will not be impeached. Neither will Mayorkas.
No, and he never was going to be.
He was never going to be. And I'm okay with the hearing, but just don't expect that anything's going to happen from it. But always watch. That news cycle is just churning up on all that stuff, which means they're going to try to sneak a few things by the goalpost.
Yeah, you can eat some good popcorn during the hearing.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Just understand nothing's going to happen at the end of them.
Nothing's going to happen. Yeah.
Keep an eye out for something else. I get nervous when U.S. Navy ships start getting attacked because that's how we got into the Vietnam War. The Gulf of Tonkin incident. You can look it up. Central Command says Houthi attacks against ships fully enabled by Iran. That's what they want to do. They want to go to war with Iran, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. All right. Until tomorrow, y'all have a safe Monday evening. And if you want to, start watching Breaking Bad again. I don't know. Just or some documentary. What was I watching? What did I tell you? There's this new. Oh, you know what? I'll talk about it tomorrow. Y'all have a good evening. But man, I found out some stuff about Noriega that I didn't know. I found out some stuff about the Panama Canal I did not know. And people are talking. People are talking, boy. They probably want to get it off the chest before they die. So, Noriega, they couldn't find him like Saddam Hussein, but he ran to a Catholic monastery and they surrounded the monastery. And the Pope said, if you're on the grounds there, you can't be taken. So the people down there, they were like, they told the U.S. military, let us go in. We'll get him, bring him out.
We'll clean up.
They were like, hey, the people, if you don't come out, they're going to come in there and they might hang you, man. So come on out.
He got that early retirement like Zelensky's going to get.
Yeah, boy. Noriega was.
What was his final thing?
Created him though, huh?
Did he die in prison? What happened to him?
Brought him up here.
He's in jail here still.
Yeah.
Damn. Is he still alive?
I think so.
Oh, we're going to have to go deep dive.
Manuel Noriega.
Tune in tomorrow.
Let's see. No. He died. He
was pretty old.
Yeah, he died. He died in the night. He died of a brain tumor. March, April, May of 2017. Wow. Which means he's on Epstein Island or he's on some other island with Jeffrey Epstein and them. That's all. All right. We'll talk to y'all later. God bless.